As you know, a magnitude 7.3 violent earthquake struck off the coast of Vanuatu at 2:47 in the afternoon yesterday. The US Geological Survey said the quake was 57 k's deep off the coast, 30 kilometres west of Port Vila. 14 people have died, according to the International Federation of Red Cross Pacific, and a mass casualty triage has reportedly been set up at the hospital there. Multiple buildings have fallen, including the building containing embassies for the UK, US, France and New Zealand. 2 New Zealand Art Commission staff were unaccounted for this morning. They were not in the building when the earthquake struck, and they have since been found safe. The National Emergency Management Agency and GNS Science confirmed there was no tsunami threat to New Zealand. Our Foreign Minister Winston Peters said New Zealand was providing assistance, offering to send an urban search and rescue team and relief supplies to Vanuatu later today even, once the airport was reopened. New Zealand emergency medical, civil defence, consular and humanitarian officials would also be deployed as part of this operation. Now, a man that is no stranger to providing assistance when there is a disaster is my first guest. The disaster relief charity Taskforce Kiwi was founded 2 years ago by Richard Adams. He's a serving officer in the New Zealand Army, a former British Army officer who served in Afghanistan and spent 5 years working in rural fire in Victoria, as well as the Disaster Relief Australia. Oh, and he was also a semi-finalist in the New Zealander of the Year Awards. And Richard Adams joins me now. Richard, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Leah. How are you going?
I'm going really well. Firstly, before we jump into what has sadly happened in Vanuatu, can you tell us a little bit of what Taskforce Kiwi does?
Yeah, absolutely. So the idea behind Taskforce Kiwi is that we utilise primarily those who have served or are still serving in the Defence Force or the emergency services, and then we deploy them as volunteers during and after disasters. So the idea is that we have a team of highly skilled, highly trained individuals who are able to be really effective on the ground. But we also include members of the wider community in our organisation as well, who bring a variety of different skills.
Okay, so you can have like volunteers that come and go.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. So we make it as easy as possible for people to volunteer. So we might see somebody for one deployment a year, and if that's all, that's great, because we're then able to utilise their skills for that time.
So can you also tell me, Richard, like some of the disasters or events that you've been part of assisting with?
Yeah, certainly. So it's been as you mentioned at the start, we've only been around for a couple of years, and it's been a fairly busy couple of years, both at home and abroad. So the majority of our work has been here at home. So the largest one, unsurprisingly, was Cyclone Gabrielle. So we spent 10 weeks in Hawke's Bay in the wake of Gabrielle. Also assisted on the Auckland floods, the Wairoa flood this year, and some fires in Canterbury earlier this year. But we've also deployed overseas with some of our international partners. So done a number of deployments to Australia, to New South Wales and Queensland, mainly to assist with flood relief. We were in Vanuatu earlier this year doing cyclone impact assessment work. Deployed to Morocco for earthquake relief, and to North America and Hawaii for wildfire relief.
Gosh. So kind of, what is a jack of all trades, Richard? You do what is required at the time that is asked of you. That's what the task force will do.
Yeah, exactly that. So we try and remain as flexible as possible. So there are a lot of much more established disaster relief organisations out there, but they do one thing, and they often do it really well, but they're quite narrow what they can do. Whereas, the skill sets that exist within our organisation, given the people that we recruit, means that we can adapt pretty quickly and do a variety of different tasks depending on what is needed.
Sure. And when a disaster or an event happens, how does it work? Do you get the call? Do you volunteer? You put your hand up? We're here. How does it roll out for Taskforce Kiwi? Yeah,
so at home, we wait to be invited to come and support. Now, sometimes we have to go and seek out that invitation. To let people know we're around. This is what we can help you with. This is how many people we can provide and for how long. But other times, so for example, in Wairoa, we just got a call asking for assistance, so they knew we were out there and knew we could assist. Internationally, we usually partner up with a similar organisation overseas and form sort of a joint operation and deploy with them.
Sure. So now I imagine you want to take Taskforce Kiwi to Vanuatu, and I see Winston Peters is offering to send already urban search and rescue teams and relief supplies. Will you be needed then?
It very much depends. So one of our big things is not deploying if we're not needed, because that seems to happen quite a lot in this space. So if there is no requirement, we won't go. But if there is, we absolutely will. So our biggest challenge right now, as it is probably with most organisations, is figuring out what the actual story is on the ground. Because 24, 48, 72 hours after a event of that magnitude, it's pretty confused. So just understanding what the situation is and especially what the needs are and whether we can meet those needs.
Yeah, good point, because it will take time to kind of unfold and see where the need is